Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we cover a new character every week. This week, we're going to be talking about Taskmaster, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad, and this is our last request. So if you want to hear us talk about a specific character that we've never talked about before, leave us a comment.
And this is Brandon, or a character that we've already talked about and got updated.
That's not as exciting.
Still think.
And I'm Steven.
The gang's all together, and we're here to talk about Taskmaster eventually. But before we do that, I want to know how everybody is doing. How are you doing, Steven?
Well, I'm fine. I'm back from South Carolina, so exciting stuff happening.
I'm glad to hear that. It sounded like you had a crazy long trip, like a drive that you had to do last week.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. Yep, I drove all the way from Charleston, South Carolina, to Cleveland, Ohio, in one go.
Ugh.
Not something I do all the time, but it's necessary sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it no problem.
Thank you.
And you don't have to answer right now, but I do want to know what your take on the character we covered last week is.
Okay, who would that be?
Magic.
That got it.
It was magic.
That magic. There we go. I could not think of it in the moment.
I actually know. I actually knew who it was. I just was trying to stump Fred.
You got me. Dad got it. I haven't thought about her for a week. Well, I want to know what your take is on her, but you can think about it and put together your thoughts.
Sure.
Brandon, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. No real complaints.
That's good. How are you doing, Brad?
I'm doing good. I forgot to mention this before we started recording, but I'm unavailable to record next week, so I think we're going to skip an episode.
Oh, no. Okay. Actually, you know what? So am I, and it's because of Christmas.
Yeah.
We're going to take a Christmas break.
Is that also for New Year's Eve?
I could record on New Year's Eve.
I could
Okay.
too.
I might not be able to, but I will let you guys know.
Okay. Yeah, so we're taking a week off for Christmas, everyone. We're letting you know now. We did a tournament yesterday. The folks here who live in Charleston, and we'll cover that in the near future. But before we do that, I know that there is a tournament coming up next year in January. I believe it's January 20th. Is that correct, Brad?
That's correct.
Yeah, January 20th in South Charleston. It will be a normal MCP tournament. And unfortunately,
it will not be an MCP tournament.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Did you change it already?
Yes, it is an MCP tournament.
Yeah, unfortunately, it'll be an MCP tournament instead of a Guild Ball tournament, which is what we were trying to gear up for, because the person who would really most benefit is gonna be out of town. That's our friend Andrew. He was gonna be the person who most wanted to play some Guild Ball, and he will not be in town, which is it's just just scheduling didn't work out.
It might be that Michael wants to play Guild Ball more than Andrew, but Andrew would be a close second.
Oh, okay. Well, that is also the weekend that LVO is happening, I believe. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
And our own Steven is going to be attending.
That is correct.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you, man. I hope that you go up there and show everyone that we can kick some butt.
Well, that's not my intended purpose. First time going to a very large convention like that. So, it's more for the experience. And to tell you the truth, instead of the the big qualifier event and then the big, take it all tournament. I'm actually more interested in doing timelines, and that's what I'm preparing for. I've got 11 more models to paint. So,
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Uh, do you want to talk about like don't go through everything that you're gonna play, but do you know what affiliations you're gonna do? Or if you don't want to tell, you don't have to. But
no, that's fine. I'm going to, with the limited pool of characters, it makes it quite interesting building. So, this is a work in progress, but one of the lists that is definitely set is I'm going to do an X Force Avengers list because Cable, Wolverine, and Deadpool crossover very, very well. And the original Sabretooth benefits from Cap's leadership very, very well on his Spender. So that's one. I'm going to do Web Warriors with Defenders, but I'm also adding She Hulk because there's enough to splash in A Force if I need to. And then I'm doing Spider Foes and Criminals. So,
okay, nice. That sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun. Did you say Spider Foes and Criminals?
yeah. Yep.
So is that Modoc 2 that you're gonna bring
And,
as the
and Claw.
and Claw? Oh, and Claw. Okay.
Right. Now, the only thing I haven't decided is if I want to do a Hydra Splash in that last one. So I'll figure that out as I'm painting. So,
Okay. Who would be the Hydra leader? Would
oh,
it be
just Strucker.
Strucker? Okay.
Just take along Strucker and Zola. So,
Okay. Well,
but
that sounds interesting. Those are some.
that's my weird science faction list.
Yeah.
for your sake, Stephen, I hope that there are enough people to play timelines.
I do too, but if not, I'll have enough models that I can garner up some people to. I mean, play anything. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
have almost 40 models.
yeah, you'll have plenty of stuff to play, but like,
Hmm.
I don't have a lot of faith that timelines event's gonna actually happen.
Yeah, but if some of us are forceful enough, maybe it will. Maybe it's only 4 people. Heck, that'd be okay with me. You know what I mean? Just to
I
try it out, just to.
It's not made for 4 people. It's made for 32 plus.
I understand, but we can all play timelines list, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. You can play with the lists. It may just not be a full
So,
set.
right, exactly, and that's what I'm more interested in. So, but
Well,
anyway, enough about me.
well, break a leg up there. Like, make sure have some fun. And
But
I'm
Fred,
excited to hear what the takeaway is from timelines.
I would get hurt.
All right. Well, let's move on to games that we've played recently. So we played a tournament. Brandon, Brad, and I, along with Borka, Jared, and our friend Aaron, who hasn't really been playing all that much, but he has played before. And it was a pretty good tournament. It was a lot of fun. It went 3 rounds. And let's do it round by round, so it's not just one person talking for a long time. So my first round, I brought my roster was Spider Foes, and my first fight was against Jared. And Jared, I was pretty sure was gonna drop Hulk on me, with his Guardians of the Galaxy, and so I figured that my best bet with Spider Foes into Hulk is to try and play a game where I'm gonna kill Hulk. So I played with Green Goblin as my leadership. Uh, I played Goblin. Uh, oh my goodness, who else did I play? Craven the Hunter. Uh, and oh man, this game is falling out of
Well,
my brain.
what point value did you play at? Do
You
you remember that?
You also played. You played Goblin, Craven, Rhino.
That's
I know you.
correct. I played
I know.
Rhino because it was Deadly Legacy Virus. Well, anyway, my takeaway from this game is that even with Green Goblin's leadership, I had a lot of trouble dealing with Hulk. Hulk basically just walked in and beat everyone to death. That's what Hulk does. I did end up taking out uh, Peter Quill, and I had almost taken out Hulk by the end of the game, but Hulk basically was an unstoppable force for against me during this fight. I could not deal with him. Even trying to focus attacks on him, I couldn't take him out.
Oh,
So,
you also played Cosmic Ghost Rider.
oh, that's right. This is where I played
And
Cosmic Ghost
Bullseye.
Rider.
And Bullseye was your last model.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Cosmic Ghost Rider, a ton of fun and very good, like extremely good. But he still was not able to finish off Hulk, which is unfortunate. And I remember now, Jared was also playing Cosmic Ghost Rider, so we were having a Cosmic Ghost Rider off. Uh, his was weirdly without a psychosis token for most of the game. Like he rolled real bad, and I wasn't attacking him, so he ended up without a psychosis token for most of the game, and ended up scoring a bunch of points because of it. So, oh well. But it was a good game, and Jared won pretty handily. I believe the final score was 17-8 or something like that. Uh, but that's my first round. Someone else talk while I pull up Longshank so I don't have this awkward uh, not knowing everything off the top of my head.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Brandon.
I played Borka in round one. I played Defenders. He played Avengers. What did we play? We played Demons as the Secure. Our extract was Cubes. We played at 17 points. I played Daredevil, Ghost Rider, Hulk Wong. Yeah. He played Cap, New Captain America, Hulk, Wolverine. Let me do some math. And a 3-pointer. Who was this 3-pointer? I don't remember whose 3-pointer was. It was an alright game. I feel like we both played really well. He had a chance to steal some points, and I could not roll dice to save my life on both attacks and defense. I got to a point where I started counting it up, and I think I rolled 10 plus dice attacks like 17 times yesterday and dealt like a total of like 9 damage. So it was real fun. The I remembered why I like to play Kingpin in tournaments because I'm not relying on dice as much. Um, but it was a good game. It was a lot closer than the score indicated. It, but eventually the attrition just came out and took over, and he was able to kind of run away with the scoreboard.
Okay. And how was your game, Brad? Your first round?
So I played Aaron, who whipped his list together at the last minute from our extra models, and played after we coerced him so that we would have an even number. And he was playing A Force. So we played Alien Ship, Mutant Madman, 18 Threat. He played She-Hulk, Shuri, Storm, Black Cat, and someone who died very quickly. I played Storm, Ultron 2, Colossus, Domino, and Beast. I had all 3 alien ships for most of the game, and I had 2 to 3 mutant madmen every turn. Ultron 2 is great with Storm, as I thought it would be, but this was my first time playing it. I painted up Ultron 2 the night before the tournament, and I won this game 20-8. I did very little damage to She-Hulk. That's it. That was the game.
Okay. I mean, there's been a this tournament had 3 lists that had Hulk one, and then a 4th list that had She-Hulk, which is kind of the meta right now. um, and
And then
so when you
2
go
other
when you're
lists,
making
2 other lists that had Cosmic Ghost
that
Rider.
had Cosmic Ghost Rider, yeah, it's there's a very um big threat meta right now. I think that's what's going on. So when you're putting together your roster, remember that you have to think ahead about how you're going to deal with Hulk, what your plan is going to be if you see a Hulk across the table. Speaking of which, my round 2 was against Aaron. Uh, it was a game of Struggle for the Cube and Demons Downtown. We did a threat of 17. I played Doc Ock's leadership with Doc Ock Lizard, Rhino, and 2 other characters that were much less relevant. Venom, who was actually quite relevant. And Aaron was playing She-Hulk, Valkyrie, Shuri, and Ghost Rider.
Valkyrie.
And this
That's
game
who
was
died really quick. Valkyrie died really quick in our game.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Well, Valkyrie did not die quick in this game. Valkyrie did a bunch of work. In this game, I went in thinking that my plan was to kill She-Hulk off the get-go. And so I put every attack I could into She-Hulk early. And that was exactly the right thing to do. And I had a crazy dice spike with Lizard, where Lizard did 9 points of damage in one activation just with his attacks. Like it was a crazy dice spike that I got on a cold-blooded attack. And I ended up taking out She-Hulk, I think, near the top of round 3. And then at that point, I was just so ahead on attrition that he couldn't come back. And in fact, I think that this game ended 15-12 because I tabled him. And mostly because She-Hulk, I think, also kind of whiffed on a few attacks and didn't really do as much as she probably should have, while I was rolling pretty hot on dice and ended up taking her out. So that if you can take out their big important character, that is a good strategy to do. That was my round 2.
You said
Oh.
Venom was relevant, though. What was his relevancy?
Venom was relevant because he stood in the back corner and pulled people towards him, and like he was pulling She-Hulk. Not She-Hulk actually. It was Valkyrie really, because Valkyrie was. I had dealt with Shuri, She-Hulk, and Ghost Rider. Like they were all in the fray, and Valkyrie was along the edge, just charging in and beating people up. And she charged in, and Venom pulled her to the back point and then beat her down. And then I believe he topped and bottomed her, like he attacked her at the bottom of a round, and then before he could activate her again, attacked her again and killed her.
This is what happens when you don't feed Venom and Lizard. They get mad.
Yeah, Venom. He did pretty well. As did I think that my team all did very well in this game. But that was my second round. Brandon, what was your second round?
Brad can talk about it.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
you two versus each other.
yeah. We were on Hammers Demons Downtown, which is not what I wanted to play on. 19 threat. I had Storm and Ultron 2, and then uh 2 threes and a 4.
Psylocke,
Psylocke for sure. 100% Psylocke.
Colossus.
Colossus. Oh yeah, 2 4s and a 3, and then X-23. Uh, yeah, Brandon had Daredevil, Hulk, Ghost Rider, and Beta Ray Bill,
Beta Ray Bill.
which was awful.
Eh,
Uh,
Eh,
he stole my hammer.
so fun.
Psylocke got a hammer. Beta Ray Bill got a hammer. Ghost Rider stole my hammer, and then Hulk got a hammer. So that was not a good start. My Ultron grunts literally never moved off the deployment line and got to shoot twice a turn the entire game. So that's cool.
How did they do? Like, how do you feel like Ultron did in this
Oh,
game?
Ultron was MVP of 2 out of 3 of my games.
Oh wow, okay.
And he was a
This was
close.
not the game he was the
This
MVP
is
of.
not the game he was MVP, but he was a close second. So Psylocke took care of Flip Daredevil. Ultron, mostly Ultron, got Ghost Rider, while Brandon killed X-23, and then Colossus, and then Storm, in that order.
Storm and then Colossus.
Storm and then Colossus. Yeah, they all went pretty quickly. Colossus took a lot of hits to keep other people alive, mostly Ultron, who had 2 wounds left for several of Brandon's activations. But Ultron got Ghost Rider, and then Brandon had to make a hard choice of sacrificing Bill or Daredevil. I wish he had picked Bill, because then Psylocke would have killed Daredevil. Daredevil had a big Devil's Deliverance. And then Ultron got Bill. And you're probably listening to this and thinking, man, Ultron got Ghost Rider and Bill. How is he not your MVP? Because Psylocke rolled up and killed Hulk
Yeah,
in an activation.
good for Psylocke.
He had 8 damage on him already, but she did 12 of it.
That's pretty intense.
So
that's a lot of damage.
she had a lot of power on her, and there is no cap for the number of rerolls. Like, she has a pay X to reroll X dice on attack and defense, and it's not up to a max of 3 or anything like that. It's just however much you pay is how many rerolls you get.
Okay.
Psylocke is so good.
Yeah.
And after
Yeah, she is. She's pretty damn solid.
after I killed Hulk, that locked in the game for me. Ended up 16-13.
Okay. All right. Well, that was our round 2. Jared and Aaron played against each other, and Jared won 16-3.
Now, you played.
It was an
Aaron.
alien ship.
Yeah, you played Aaron. Jared played
Oh.
Borka.
Jared played. I've opened round 3. That's why I messed this up. Whoops. Okay.
Yeah, Jared played Borka.
Jared played Borka.
I watched some of this
Borka
game.
won that round.
Yeah, it was very close, but Borka pulled it out. Mostly off the strength of, I think, Hulk killing a bunch of people.
And
I did have a chance in the game against Brad if a 10 dice penance stare would have done more than 1 damage. It needed to do 2 damage.
Yeah, and it did not.
It did
that is
one.
a theme for
Who
what is going on with your games.
who was that into?
Psylocke,
Oh yeah, yeah,
because you would have dropped 3 points.
yeah. That's right. Because that's actually pretty good attack into her. Because she's got martial artist, but that doesn't work.
Yeah,
I did pay for rerolls though, so
did pay for rerolls. Didn't really need them. I only had like 2 successes, but it was Psylocke definitely showed out and
yeah,
was also able to move around and get into the right positions at the right times.
yeah. I love her. All right, round three,
Very
Fred.
good.
What was your round
Round
three?
3. Well, my opponent in round 3 was Brandon.
Fred
And
talked, and to start this out, Fred was talking a little bit of smack before the game.
I was talking some smack. I was saying, "Hey, I'm gonna win this game. And I'm gonna knock you down." And I did not. I did not win this game. uh, it was a pretty brawly fight. Like it was a brutal fight. And I think that Brandon's dice were absolutely terrible,
Except
especially
for on
with
Hawk.
Ghost Rider, except for Hulk. Hulk exploded every time he attacked, and basically killed not dazed or KO'd a character every activation. Um, it was pretty bad. I did end up KOing Hulk in this fight. I was playing Doc Ock, Green Goblin, and Rhino and Black Swan. This was Paranoia and Demons Downtown. And I had one more character, and I think it was Lizard.
You had Rhino, Lizard, the
Black Swan, Green
Blackwater.
Goblin, and Doc Ock.
Yes,
And you had
it's the same list
Ghost
I
Rider,
played.
Hulk, and Daredevil, and one other person.
This is the same exact list I played against Brad. I had Beta Ray Bill, Ghost
Beta
Rider,
Ray
Hulk,
Bill.
and Daredevil. We
Yeah.
also played Demon. I played Demons Downtown in all 3 rounds. I never did not play Demons Downtown. And the extract we played was Paranoia,
Paranoia.
which was fun. Hulk made 5 attacks. He dazed 3 characters and KO'd 2 characters.
Yep. Hulk was nuts. Hulk was absolutely bananas in this game. I mean, that's what Hulk does, but
But
still.
that's it. Everyone else was doing about 1 damage an attack.
Yeah, including you did 3 penance stairs in this game, and I think you did a total of 3 damage across
I
all 3 penance
did
stairs.
on all 3 penance stairs in our game. I did 2 total damage. I did 1 damage twice and 0 damage once.
Yeah, it was
They
very
were all
very bad.
and they were all 10 dice penance stairs.
And they were all, I think 2 of them were against Rhino, who only has 2 Mystic defense.
Yes, 2 of them were against Rhino.
Well, this game ended 14-8 because he ended up tabling me. I did. It was actually very close at the end. Not actually by points, but by attrition. We were both down to 2 characters. I think that at the end of the game, you had Beta Ray Bill and one other character,
Ghost Rider and Beta Ray
Ghost
Bill.
Rider, and they were both dazed.
Beta Ray Bill actually didn't daze.
Oh, you're right. I never got down Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah,
But
he also wasn't very in the fight either.
No.
He was very much like on the outskirts for most of it, just kind of peeking his head in. And he, you had a lot of characters with flight, which I was able to do Beta Ray Bill's 2 power spender that gave me rerolls on flight. I didn't do really any damage with it, but it felt like the best thing to do because he did have a paranoia token, and I was kind of just scoring points with him.
Yeah.
But
it was relevant against Black Swan. I think he's the person who took out Black Swan.
he was the person that he did KO Black Swan. He did
Yeah.
not. He did not daze her, but he did KO her.
What were your thoughts on? I love Black Swan. I think she's great. I think that she's a great 4-point model. She's not a great 5-point model, so don't bother taking her with the Power Stone.
I enjoyed her. I thought about it a lot. It made me it made me kind of it's I like it in the list because like there are matchups where you really can't take Venom because of his weaknesses.
Yeah, like this one.
Like yeah, Demons Downtown versus Ghost Rider is probably not really where you want anything to do with a Venom.
A terrible
Um,
place for Venom.
and a possible Beta Ray Bill. It's not at all really where you want to be. It gives some utility. I was really trying to think of like another utility four that would fit in that list really well. But I actually do like. I think that it was a fun little it was a fun pick. I think it worked out really well, and I think I don't think anyone's ever thought she was bad. I think
No, she's
yeah.
just she's good. I think she's very good in that sort of brawly faction where
Yeah,
she's
she's got the strike and the charge. She's got good defenses. Um, I think she would allow you to play specifically the physical pay to flip if you don't already play it.
right. I do. It is in
Yeah.
my list. It's just it's not.
But I
It
also
never
think
came up.
yeah, she also gives you an option to not be bad on the energy pay to flips.
Yeah,
But she also has having I think she plays better with Goblin because of Midnight Field.
I agree.
So you can kind of do both. It gives you a little bit more play with Goblin. Which I thought, like I said, I liked it. I think she meshes really good with Green Goblin. You played Doc Ock in this game,
Hmm.
but your other four was
Was Green Goblin
no,
and
your other
Rhino.
four option to play over her would have been Venom, which
Oh
would have been
yeah,
fundamentally incorrect in the matchup.
correct. Yeah. Okay. Well, Brad, what was your last round?
I played against Borka, who was playing new Steve Rogers. Uh, we played 17 points, Scrolls and Extremists.
This was the championship.
This is for the big prize. He played in his list Cable, Iron Man, and Black Bolt, and I played Storm, Ultron 2. That was my goal for the day, was just play Storm and Ultron 2. Beast, Domino, and Beast, Domino. Is that it?
I don't know.
That can't be
Uh,
it, right? There's gotta. Maybe it is. No, 17 points. There's another one. There's one more 3-pointer.
well,
Oh, it's
how
X-23. It
how'd
was
the game go?
X-23. It's X-23.
X-23.
Yeah,
Okay.
X-23 died very quickly. That's why I couldn't remember her. So his Cable did a lot of great work in this, is what happened. So Cable killed X-23, mostly killed Domino. Beast went to go support them on that flank, and then Captain America went over there too, and both Beast and Domino ended up dead. His Iron Man set on his home extremist, and Storm set on mine, and then Ultron and Black Bolt had a pretty even fight on the other flank. I dazed him, and then he dazed me, and then that was it. That was the whole fight over there. Which, two 5-pointers fighting, you would hope that that's pretty even, right? For the balance of the game. So that turned out.
You would
But,
hope
yeah.
it doesn't work out that way most of the time.
Nah, it was pretty even fight. So,
Okay.
I was keeping up on points pretty well. So I had dazed Cable as well, and then of course Black Bolt. But he dazed and then KO'd 3 models, so he was so far up on attrition that just the last turn of the game, I scored like 1, and he scored enough to get to 17 points. We were like, I was 1 behind him up until then, but the attrition finally caught up to me, and I lost.
Yeah.
And that's
And
it.
that means that Borka won the tournament.
He did.
And
So
then I came through
congratulations,
for
Borka.
Yeah, Jared won his game, and he was ahead of me. And then the outcome of the Brandon Fred game would determine if Jared got to keep second place or if Brandon won, which he did. Jared and I tied on every tiebreaker for second place. Which is hard to do. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's impressive.
all because Fred talked a little smack.
Yeah, all because I jinxed myself. Well, that was our tournament, and it was a ton of fun. And thank you very much, Brad, for running it.
Yeah, it's super easy to run an MCP tournament if you're out there and you want them to happen, run them. It's very easy with Longshanks.
Steven, do you have any games that you want to talk about?
Well, I played one this last Thursday. So,
Okay.
but just one. I was playing one of our locals, Cody, on our local Thursday night, and I ran Kingpin Criminal Syndicate, but I was running Claw again because I figured I got to figure this character out if I'm going to take him to LVO. And I was also playing our feature today, which is Taskmaster. So we set up and we were on Scoundrels and Researcher, and we were playing at 20 points. He was playing Cabal, and he brought Malekith, Hulk, Enchantress, and Scourge.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's bananas.
I brought Claw, Original MODOK, Kingpin, Hood, and Taskmaster. Interestingly enough, I won the game on points pretty handily, but I almost lost the game because of attrition. So,
With Hulk and Malekith on the other side.
but I found out what Claw is really, really good into, and that's the big boys.
Yeah.
Because once somebody ends an activation within 3, he spends 3 power and he pushes them away.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And if you're against a tall list and you're trying to score a researcher and you got big boys, Claw usually has enough power. If he's swarmed by a smaller team, well, that's usually not the case. Like if there's 6 models around, so on and so forth. But if there's only 2 models coming into him, and he's got some support from, like, say, MODOK or Hood, then he becomes very, very effective. So Malekith would come in, charge, hit him with the sword. Of course, Claw has 5 defense against that, gets extra power, and then he tries to do it again. And then Claw's like, oh, thank you for the power. By the way, go away. So, so I found out the purpose of Claw. He's not very good into littler things, but he's good into the larger things or taller lists because he can keep things at a distance. So,
Okay.
unfortunately, Taskmaster didn't do too hot. So, he gamma launched Scourge to the point that Taskmaster was at, and they had a fight, and Taskmaster lost that one pretty handily. So, but these things happen. I've only run it once. I don't think I'm going to put him on the shelf just because of that. Just like Claw, I thought he was bad at first, and then I played him into this big list. I think Taskmaster has the opposite problem. I think he's very, very good into smaller characters his, of his ilk. But even though Scourge is a 3 threat, he does hit really, really hard with that 6 dice physical attack. So
yeah, he does.
No, overall the game went well. I literally ended up Kingpin on 1 health, Claw on 1 health. Remember, these characters are all on their injured side, and MODOK on 2 health. So it was a
Ooh.
very it was a very attrition heavy game.
He
And I
needed to
was
do 4 damage more to table you.
correct.
Oh,
Correct.
but you ended up winning.
Yeah, I didn't touch Hulk at all. Hulk would come in and hit me. I'd be like, okay, that's fine. Go away. Claw makes you go away. So. And then Modok was using his ability to move people around, So.
Okay. Well, that was our games played, and it sounds like it's been a very busy week for everybody, gaming wise. And I think that that's all that we have to talk about. There's no new news from AMG. There's nothing that's been released that we can talk about. So let's move on to the person that we are covering today. That is Taskmaster, otherwise known as Anthony Masters. His defenses are 3-3-3, threes across the board. He has 6 stamina on his front side, but only 5 stamina on his back side. He is threat level 3, size 2, and he has a movement speed of medium. And Brad, why don't we go back to our old standby? Why don't you do the first 2 attacks for this guy?
His first attack's physical, range 2, 5 dice, cost 0, gain power equal to damage down, wild bleed. His second attack is physical shield throw, range 4, 4 dice, also free. It is now a gainer. It ignores line of sight, and they do not benefit from cover, and has wild ricochet, so he can attack another model within range 3 of that character, and but only once. He can't keep ricocheting.
All right. Brandon, why don't you do the next 2 superpowers? The last attack and the first reactive superpower there.
Are you sure? Is that all you want me to do?
Yeah, that's what I want you to do.
Alright. Let me get. So we've got Mnemonic Technique. It's a range 2, 4 dice, 2 power spender. You add dice to this attack roll equal to the target's physical defense. The target character cannot modify or reroll dice in the defense roll during this attack. And then Photographic Reflexes is the reactive superpower. It costs 2 power. And then after an attack targeting this character is resolved, this character may use the superpower. If the attacker is within 3, roll 4 dice. Deal 1 damage to the attacker for each wild and crit in the roll. And if the attacker has already targeted this character with an attack this roll 6 dice instead of 4.
Okay, and Steven, why don't you finish off the card?
All right. We have 3 innate superpowers. The first being intuitive pattern recognition. If an enemy character targets this character with an attack and has already targeted this character with an attack, this turn, add 2 dice to the defense roll. He also has martial artist. When this character is defending against a physical or energy attack targeted from within 2, this character adds blanks in its defense roll to its total successes. And last, we have Rogue Agent. One character with Rogue Agent counts as an affiliated character during squad building.
Okay, and that is it that is all that's on the card here for Taskmaster. There is a tactics card, but we'll talk about that later. This is our other rogue agent. This is the less known one, the one that's taken far less often, but will probably be taken much more often after the recent errata. What is everyone's thought on this guy? What's your thought on this guy, Steven, since you recently played him?
Well, like I said, I didn't get to ride the bike that long. Let's just put it in that
Okay.
term. Okay.
Uh-huh.
He, from what you look at on the card and what his rules are, he should be serviceable. You know what I mean? He's not outstanding, but he's not a slouch either. So, it's one of those things that if you get the right matchup with him, he can be devastating to the other side. But if you get the wrong matchup, he can fold like a wet paper towel. So
Yeah.
I think
He's a solid 3. That's what he's like. He's a 3, and it's correct.
Right. I think the rogue agent adds a lot to what this card is too.
Yeah, being able to take him and him count as affiliated during squad building is positive. It's very good. I actually have a question with photographic reflexes, his reactive superpower. So the triggering event is after an attack targeting this character is resolved. He gets to roll 4 dice, and he can. The opposing character takes a damage on a crit and a wild. And then, if the attacking character had already targeted this character with an attack this turn, roll 6 dice instead of 4. I'm just clarifying what that means. That means that if this is the second attack that that character has made against this guy, correct? It's
Yes.
not like, yeah.
Yes.
So he's like a character who punishes an opponent if they can't, if they have to get rid of him, and they weren't able to do it with the first attack, because his defenses go up by 2 dice, which is actually kind of awesome. No matter what defense it is, it's a 5 dice defense, which is pretty solid. And he has martial artists, so that if they're within range 2 and it's a physical or energy attack, he gets to count blanks. And then if it's the second attack, he can spend 2 power and hit him back with 6 dice if doing damage on every crit and wild, which might
Fred,
be quite a bit if you roll well. Yeah?
have you noticed that reactive superpower is missing a sentence that's very common for this type of ability?
Is it this attack can only be done once per turn?
Yeah. So he can do it against both of the attacks.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
I also want to point out that the extra 2 dice to the defense roll is even better than you're probably giving it credit for. And you're giving it a lot of credit already, because it
Mm-hmm.
is a very common play pattern to attack someone with a builder to try to get enough power to then do a spender with more dice.
Yeah.
So if they
And then
do
just
make the
getting.
spender, you then just get more defense dice, making that spender
Mm-hmm.
not as worthwhile.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I like that he has 6 health on his front side. That's much. He only has 5 on his back, but 6 health is pretty survivable if you have 3 and then 5 defenses.
Uh huh. And martial
As long as it's
artists.
not a huge guy and martial artist, as long as it's not a huge guy coming into you.
Remember, you also have those 2 dice no matter what range it is.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they're not range dependent.
This
Uh,
this is also one of the best comic to character card adaptations they've done. Like, this is him.
right. The other thing I like to point out is that he's got that sword strike and now a shield throw gains power, and he only has 2 things to spend power on.
Just
So
that. Yeah, you're right.
his photographic reflexes and the mnemonic technique are going to go off quite a bit, I think.
And mnemonic technique is a very good attack.
Yeah, because against a lot of characters, that's going to be an 8 die spender for 2 power, and they
Except
can't
Mysterio.
modify a reroll. Yeah, except Mysterio. You're not. If you're throwing this guy into Mysterio, you've messed up.
Yep.
One thing our friend Michael was doing was playing him in Doctor Strange Defenders and doing that attack into paying 3 power and doing it into their weakest defense.
Ooh.
So, like, against a Rhino, for example, who was not out at the time, he would be rolling 8 dice into his 2 Mystic.
Rhino
Or
only
against.
has a 3.
Oh, he only has a
Physical
3.
defense.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Against a Carnage, he would be rolling 9 dice against a 1 if
Yeah.
he did that trick.
exactly.
Venom, he could do 4 into 2 or 8 into 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of situations where that was really good.
Yeah, that's
There
a
are a
good
lot of
that's a
better
good synergy.
examples than the one Brad tried to go with.
Shut up. Okay, Logan. He does 8 into 2 into his mystic.
That's true. That would have made a lot more
I
sense for
just
you to
thought
use that
Rhino
one.
had 4 physical defense.
Because he
No.
should.
He'd be too good with 4 physical defense. I mean, he's good enough. Rhino is great, and if he had 4 physical defense, he'd be just outstanding.
He would be greater.
He'd be greater. We need to talk about several things here before we move on. So he was recently errated, and the errata is that they added the gainer rule, as in he gains 1 power every time the attack is resolved onto his shield throw, which is really nice, especially when you get the ricochet off, because that would be 2 free power, no matter if you do damage or not. And at range 4, that's, he's going to have targets in range 4 probably. It is a really nice little benefit that they gave him. And with the errata, they also changed Winter Soldier to make him less good. I think they changed his rapid fire trigger to a wild instead of a hit.
Yeah.
And that slight change on both of these guys is going to make Taskmaster way more playable. They both fit in that rogue agent slot, which a lot of rosters like to take. But I believe that 98% of the time in the past, that rogue agent slot was taken up by Winter Soldier, because Winter Soldier was just so much better. Not necessarily better than Taskmaster, but just so much more generally useful.
Well, there was a time when Taskmaster was better than Winter Soldier.
Really? Okay.
Before Winter Soldier got the first.
Oh,
change.
yeah.
Rapid fire. Yeah.
Winter Soldier has been touched a lot.
And that's why he's so
Mostly
angry
by
all the
Steve.
time.
Yeah. I think that this brings both of them into a much closer choice. It's not obvious which one is going to get taken in the rogue agent slot anymore. And I think that I've been sleeping on this character because he's kind of good. Like, I'm kind of impressed by him.
I think
The only.
I think a
Oh,
lot
go
of
ahead,
people
Brad. I'm sorry.
I think a lot of people have forgotten about him. And the
Yeah,
timing
yeah.
of this episode's pretty good because we can remind people he exists. All 10,
Yeah.
I think.
all 10 people who listened.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's missing from his card is some sort of action compression. He doesn't have any movement himself. That's outside. Like he doesn't have a charge or a place.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but
His first action always has to be move, or unless there's someone within range 2 of him.
Or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4. But yeah, so I mean, you can't have everything. I understand that. So
How many people at the tournament yesterday did Borka kill with shield throws off of Captain America?
Oh. I mean, there's a difference in that is Captain America, and this is Taskmaster.
It
But
is
still,
the same attack.
is it? I don't think it is.
It's the
It's not.
same
It's definitely not.
attack.
which Captain America are you talking about?
He was playing
new
Captain
one.
America 2, the new one, which does
3.
not have the same attack as this. Oh yeah, Captain America 3.
Yes, he does.
Is it?
It's
only-
not the.
It's
range
not. It's
3.
range 3, and it has a harder trigger.
Okay, so it's worse.
It's one more die. One more
Yeah,
die,
it's
one
5
less
dice.
range, and a harder trigger.
Except he can always get that trigger if he's playing under his leadership, or usually get that trigger if he's playing under his leadership.
He
He
did
has to
miss the
roll
hit against
wild.
me once.
He has to roll a hit.
If he rolls a hit, he can pay a power to get the wild. But
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
there was once
it's
again. There was
slightly.
once against me.
It's
There was
slightly
once
more.
against me. He didn't get the hit.
Uh, it's
He got
still.
like 4 wilds, but he didn't get a
It's
hit.
not that different of an attack.
It's not that different. You are correct. The
And
the
it
the general point that you're making is accurate.
and it is the same attack as Sam, and that's the attack he does every time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's not because the Sam's has a push on it for size 2 or less.
Okay. I mean, but like
That push is relevant.
it is. It is. But like all of these shield throws are basically the same attack. Like it's a good attack.
It is.
Right.
I agree.
They gain 1 power, they ignore line of sight and cover, and they ricochet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They
I
have
think
little
that. Go ahead.
nuances to them every once in a while.
Yeah. I think that this attack, I should say that Taskmaster would also really strongly benefit from the new Captain America's leadership. Like, he has a lot of wild triggers on this card as well. And being able to. He will also be pretty swimming in power. As we've stated, he doesn't have a whole lot of ways to spend it. So, being able to spend a power to turn a blank into a wild if you roll a hit is gonna come up a lot and will be very beneficial. Well, before we move on to our grade, we need to talk about one tactics card that's associated. Brandon, did I let you talk enough about Taskmaster? I feel like you didn't talk much on Taskmaster. Did you want to say something?
Me and Taskmaster don't get along. I've tried this model so many times, and it just never does anything for me. I feel like it always should be better than it is, and it just never seems to do anything. I think I probably play him wrong. I feel like you really just need Taskmaster to sit on a back point and just shield throw at people and keep up all his powers. And then if someone comes close, you can use your spender. I think the spender is really good, but like otherwise, I just feel like this character ends up never doing anything.
Okay. Okay. So that is fair, and I think that you're onto something in that it's kind of what Steven said in that there's no action compression. He doesn't have an ability to move
Yeah.
himself. He has to be kind of just back and throwing his shield around.
But like if you're playing hammers and you can just sit, like if you're playing like a hammers, even like hammers demons, and you can just sit on the back point and throw a 5 dice shield attack into the middle of the field, it seems relevant. It just feels like never
There,
quite
there's
good enough.
there's probably one scenario he's really, really good on,
Which one's
and
that?
that's intrusions.
Oh yeah, being able to hop through with that, so
Mhm.
you just show up within range 2 of somebody.
And go, haha.
All right. Sorry, I wanted to let Brandon have some time to talk about him. I feel like that
That's
I've
fine.
skipped Brandon a couple times on these, and I feel kind of bad about it. All right, let's talk about the tactics card before we move on. It's called Bounty Hunters, and it's bad. It's a criminal syndicate reactive tactics card. After deployment is complete, an allied Electra or allied Taskmaster may play this card. Mark the enemy character with the highest threat value with a bounty token. If the marked character is dazed or KO'd by the character that played this card during its activation, the character that played this card immediately makes one action after the effect is resolved, and the bounty token is removed from the marked character. If there is a tie for the highest threat value, choose one of the tied characters to receive the bounty token. What is the point of that? You get a free action and there's that much business that you have to accomplish?
Yeah, it's
I think this is
Fred. It's just like the Killmonger card, but instead of 2 VPs, you get to do a move or an attack or something.
just one
It's
action.
also free.
It is free.
It is free, except it's taking up a slot in your roster in your tactics card. You have to take one of 5 tactics cards is this, and it's just a free action that you would get after KOing or dazing the biggest guy on their team. This is terrible. like I think that
Now,
this
think
this
about it
card
in a
doesn't
vacuum. Like, if
function.
you're playing against like a really wide list, like the old Sam spam list, where they just played a bunch of threes, then you could just choose a weak 3 and get you a free action. But I do agree that you should probably just never play this card.
Yeah, I mean you're right. Like I think that this is something that Steven brought up also that Taskmaster is good into guys his own size, like into like a wide list, like a Sam spam. But this effect just is not good enough to justify the card. It needs to be something more. Like maybe they get to take another complete turn. Like they just get another 2 actions.
This is
But
this I mean, it allows you to move back on a point. This is one of those fun cards you can play like at the tabletop if you don't want to play a bunch of like restricted cards and stuff. Like, it is fun. It's fun to be able to be like, you get this bounty token and now I'm targeting this character the rest of the game, and it's
yeah,
like I think it's like a funner card that you can play with your friends at the tabletop. Like, if you're just playing this game for fun, like, you shouldn't be playing cards like brace and patch up and disarm and stuff like that, because those cards aren't super, like, they don't, like, if you just want to play fun character cards, like, I think this is a fun character card. You should never put this in a tournament list, and you should probably never play this in a competitive setting.
right. It is something that you will not play in a competitive game. It's just
Shouldn't.
not worth it.
Definitely
Uh,
shouldn't.
okay, let's move on to our grades here on Taskmaster. Unless anyone else has something they want to talk about, I I think that I am going to give Taskmaster a straight B. I think that he is a straight B of a character. He does work. Like he seems like he could be very useful on the table, and he's only 3 points, so he's very easy to pay for. I think that Brandon and Steven raised some good points that he probably doesn't do, and like he may be stuck on a back point for the entire game, but sometimes someone has to do that. So I'm giving him a B. Steven, since you have played him recently, what are your thoughts on Taskmaster? What's your
His,
grade?
his grade is a 78.6.
78.6.
So C plus.
Okay. C plus.
Yeah, I'm going numeric from now on. So,
Oh God.
That'll be much
but
easier to calculate the average.
yes, it would. I'm starting a trend. So, yeah, I really just don't have enough time with them, and I haven't figured out. Just like when I played Claw, I thought he was terrible at first, and then I played him a little bit more, and I found out that he does have a place, and that place is not playing him all the time, but into certain matchups he's does well, and I'll test Taskmaster out some more. Maybe he does become a better grade, in my opinion. But for right now, probably a C plus. You
He's
don't mind having him, but he might not be the first thing you reach for.
he's in timelines, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and he is in my criminal syndicate Spiderfoot list.
Yeah.
Okay. And Brad, what are you going to give him?
B minus.
A B minus. Okay. And Brandon, what is your grade for Taskmaster?
I'm on a C. I'm on a C plus as well.
Okay, so we're uh
Averaging a
B
B.
to C plus. That is our take on Taskmaster. Now, Steven, I do want to know what your take on magic is. I warned you ahead of time.
Yes,
What
you
is
did.
what is your take gonna be for magic?
She has garnered an 82.3 grade.
A B minus?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So
I like the challenge that you're giving Fred because I feel like this is mind blowing him.
What?
now Brad's got the inside because he's a teacher, right? So
Yeah, we don't give pluses and minuses though. Fred, what would an 82.6 be? That's only 0.3 away from his score.
A B?
Okay,
What
interesting.
is that incorrect?
It's still a B minus.
It's still B minus. Okay. Listen, I didn't it's been so long since I've been graded. I don't remember all of the grading scale.
You know why, Fred? Because you're an A plus in all of our hearts all the time.
Aw.
All right, that's enough of
Well,
that. Let's move
yeah,
on.
that's enough of that. On that note, Brad, do you have any comic book recommendations that feature Taskmaster?
I do. So I love Taskmaster in the comics. I've liked him since I found out about him. He is
How
what
did you like the movie adaptation?
I really like Taskmaster in the comics, and that just wasn't Taskmaster. That character was fine. It just wasn't Taskmaster. So he's what some comics fans call a jobber. He's kind of just there and he does his stuff. I think his power is really cool. Fred, do you know what his power is?
Nope, no clue. No idea
He
what his power is. Throw shield.
he
Throw
no,
shield fast.
there's a reason he can throw the shield fast, and it's because he saw Captain America do it.
Okay.
He can physically replicate any non superpower physical ability he sees happen. So he can watch expert boxers and knows how to box. So he knows every martial art. He knows boxing. He knows everything.
He has photogenic reflexes, Fred.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
He knows how to sword fight from watching expert sword fighters. And his main job in the Marvel Universe is to train henchmen.
That's why he's Taskmaster.
Yeah. So he's trained Hydra agents, he's trained AIM agents, he's trained SHIELD agents, he's trained everybody. For a while, he was one of the teachers at a superhero school.
Was it the
No.
Xavier School?
No.
Okay.
It was the Initiative. The Avengers Initiative, where they were training people to become Avengers, and then every state had its own Avenger. And West Virginia's was
Valkyrie.
yeah, very good. That's why
I remember.
she's on our videos. We live in West Virginia, and she was our superhero. I don't know why, but she was.
It's also a cool one. We could have got a lot worse.
Yeah, we
with one.
could've been.
Oh
It
yeah,
could've been worse.
yeah. Valkyrie's fine.
yeah, Ohio got Howard the Duck.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
You know,
I've
we might lose a lot, but you know,
I've got two series here. It's Taskmaster Volume 1 in 2002 and Taskmaster Volume 3 in 2020. I have not read Taskmaster Volume 2 for some reason. But Taskmaster 2002 is Ken Soy Chong and Alvin Lee. And Taskmaster has been hired to infiltrate Stark Industries and sow chaos. This, of course, leads to a big fight with Iron Man. And we also get his origin story in this 4-issue series.
Okay.
So
I've got an important question before we move on.
Uh-huh.
Does he have a skull for a face?
No,
or
that's
is
a
that
mask.
just a mask?
That's just a mask.
Okay.
I believe, now this might have changed recently, but I believe they have never shown his actual face in the comics.
Okay.
But it is just a mask. You like see him with the mask off from like the back of the head and stuff every once in a while, but I think that they have never shown his actual face.
He's a Master Chief.
Sure. He's a master something. Taskmaster 2020. This is by Jed McKay and Alessandro Vitti. And the world thinks that Taskmaster has killed Maria Hill. Do you guys know Maria Hill?
No idea.
She's played by Robin Sparkles on the MCU movies.
Nick
Okay.
Fury's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But he claims he's innocent. Nick Fury either believes him or is using this as a great opportunity to use Taskmaster to do his bidding. Because Nick Fury's like that. And so at each issue, he gives Taskmaster an impossible mission to go get something, a MacGuffin, and he says that this will help clear his name. So, like, in the first one, he has to break into the Squadron Supreme, which is the Marvel version of the Justice League, has to break into their headquarters by imitating what's his name? Play Clark Gregg in the movies. Agent Coulson. He has to imitate Agent Coulson's like walk and everything to break into this vault, and then he almost gets beat to death by Superman. Marvel Superman.
Who's Marvel Superman?
Hyperion.
I've never heard of this character.
Yeah, he's not.
There's a couple. There's a couple of them actually, but
yeah, there
Hyperion's...
is. Because Sentry is also kind of a Marvel Superman.
So is Gladiator.
He's supposed to be Superboy, which is, I know, splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But he's alien, so
yeah.
I mean, that's why I said
Fred, do you know Gladiator's real name?
No.
It's Cal Lark, as in a portmanteau of Kal-El and Clark.
Clark Kent, yeah.
Clark. Okay.
Clark.
Anyway, he almost gets beat to death. He has to break into like Wakanda and stuff. You really see him using his powers. It's pretty cool. Anyway, he has to do this while he's being hunted by every police agency in the world, and also Black Widow, who wants to kill him.
Okay.
So it's a good.
Why does she want to kill him?
Because he killed Maria Hill.
Did he actually kill Maria Hill, or what?
Well, that would be spoilers,
innocent?
Wouldn't it? He claims he's innocent.
Okay.
There's been one time in the comics that Taskmaster's face was revealed.
Really? What was it in?
Yeah. It was in Daredevil 293 in a hospital where he was like mostly bandaged and like bloodied up.
So you only kind of saw his face.
Yeah, you see a face, but like I guess they indicate in the comic that he's getting like he has to get like plastic surgery and stuff. So like that's not what his face will probably ever look like again.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So no one's seen his current face in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. An actual secret identity.
Even from the readers.
Even from the readers.
Yeah. I mean,
it'll be something. It'll be something like in another part. You know, he's actually Silver Sable's ex-husband, the Foreigner, or something like that. So.
That's probably true. Hey, Steven, I forgot you're a big Silver Sable fan.
That's correct.
And I wanted to tell you, she has a new boyfriend. Do you know who it is?
I have not kept up with her since her run ended so many years ago. So no, I do not know.
The current comic book she is showing up in is called Uncanny Spider-Man, and she is dating Uncanny Spider-Man. Do you know who?
Okay.
Do you know who Uncanny Spider-Man is?
I have not kept up with this, Brad. No.
Nightcrawler.
Really?
What is happening?
Nightcrawler he's trying to hide out because people think he killed a bunch of politicians because he did. He was mind controlled though, and so he decided to be a Spider-Man.
Okay. How
No,
does
he's
he?
is he in the U.S. at this time, or is he
Yeah,
in
he's in New
Europe?
York. He's in New York. He's wearing a Spider-Man
Mhm.
costume that looks uh, a lot like Miles is, but he has a tail and he teleports, and no one figures out it's Nightcrawler, except the bad guys. Like the normal people don't realize.
The only reason I say this, Fred, is because Silver Sable is in control of a small country that is next door to the small country that Doctor Doom runs
Yeah.
in
That's
Europe.
right.
Uh,
We went over this in the
the
past.
the bad guys have hired her and her mercenary company to capture him. So while she's on the clock, she is doing everything she can to capture him. And then when she clocks out, they like go on cute dates and stuff and sleep together.
I see.
It's
I
it's a
see.
the series is very good. Um, I
She
like it a
she
lot.
she gets around. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Was that it for comic book recommendations?
Yeah, that's it. I think we talked a lot about comic books today.
Yeah, I think it's good.
yeah, we
Uh,
threw in some little obscure characters too. So
Yeah.
Brandon, what is an affiliation where Taskmaster can really shine?
I think he works good in like the Sam spam list, as
Wait,
well. I was gonna
no,
use the defenders list.
you can't pick that because he's affiliated. You have to pick one where he's not affiliated.
Ah, that's right. Dormammu. Oh, he's gonna be affiliated there too.
Wait, so he's an Avenger?
No, he's
Yes.
a
Fred.
rogue agent, Fred.
I see what he's doing. I see what's happening. I see what Brad is trolling him. I was gonna say, there's no way he's an Avenger.
He's in Shield.
He is in Shield.
and Criminal Syndicate and Hydra.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, barring those, Brandon, that we just mentioned, where would you think he would go as a rogue agent?
Yeah, like I said, I think he's a decent addition into Sam Spam. Just where he's a 3-point threat with all threes on defense, and has a four, the shield throw. Being able to kind of sit on back points, play wide, and just kind of do that. Any affiliation that really does that. He doesn't need power. Doesn't. A lot of stuff and leaderships aren't really going to help him a ton. Like his triggers aren't, crazy or anything. It's kind of odd.
I
And I
think
think this
I,
is where he gets lost in the mix a lot, is because he's not like a standout really anywhere.
I think that he would, if you were set on taking Taskmaster, he could do pretty well in the new Captain America's affiliation.
Yeah.
Because you could much more frequently fish out that Ricochet
Or the Bleed. I also think
or the Blade.
he would be good in Winter Guard
Ooh,
because they have a short list, so Rogue Agent matters a lot more, and
yeah.
him not getting pushed off of points helps make up for his lack of action compression.
Okay.
And more shield throws.
Yeah.
Him and Red Guardian.
That
All
is a
right.
list I forget about all the time, is Winter Guard.
Me too.
They're neat. I like them.
I don't own either of those boxes, so I literally just forget about them all.
Well, the only thing that's left is for my non sequitur recommendation. I'm gonna recommend something. I've got nothing here with this character. I just know so little about him, and he's just a guy with a skull face who chucks around a shield, as far as I understand. So I'm just gonna talk about a video game that I'm playing. I played recently that I like. And that's the game Alan Wake 2. So this is the follow up to the. I think it came out in 2008 game, maybe a little bit later, maybe 2010. Uh, Game Alan Wake, which was one of my favorite games of the year of that year. It was a very like heady horror game with that featured an author who goes to a Twin Peaks style town and falls into a morass of supernatural horror. And this is the follow up after 13 years off, where we finally get to see how the story resolves. And it's very good. It's a very well made game, and it what's so refreshing about it actually is that it's incredibly weird for how high profile of a game that it is. Like it's a bizarre game in some respects. Uh, there's one part where it is a prolonged rock sequence musical where you're walking through a soundstage where a you're watching the main character do a dance and participate in a heavy metal band. It's a ton of fun. It's weird and a lot. It's a good game. Y'all should play it if you like supernatural horror and weirdness.
I
And
have
that's,
something in left field if you like that kind of relates to this character.
go for it.
All right. There was a TV series that only went for one season, kind of like Firefly. Um, it is called John Doe. It was in 2002, and it is a science fiction drama. There is a gentleman who wakes up on an island. He is found by Filipino fishermen, and he starts speaking to them in Tagalog, which is the Philippine language. He knows everything in the world except his name.
You
So
know,
he tests himself out, and somebody at the library says, "All right, do the binary code in ones and zeros for Windows XP," and he does it. He knows the whole thing, the zeros and the ones, all the code, but he doesn't know his name.
I watched this show when I was
Oh,
when I was I liked this show. This was a good show. Um, but I think that we're coming to the end of the show now, and it's been fun talking about Taskmaster. Everyone should go out there and play some games with Taskmaster. He's worth having. He's worth having an extra rogue agent. Uh, Thanks for coming, everybody, and goodbye.